Yo, what is going on, guys? It's CBrev. Welcome to today's MLB The Show 19 tips video. Just wanted to say thank you to all the people that are supporting me. We did hit 100 subscribers yesterday, which is pretty awesome, and I'm throwing this tip out here as kind of a reward for that, I guess. It's something I was debating on posting because it's pretty OP, honestly, but I think it's going to help you guys a lot, so thanks for all the support. And we'll get right into the video, which is the ideal PCI placement when you're facing a pitcher who throws primarily sinkers and cutters. So that would be Oral Hershiser, Adam Wainwright, Corey Kluber, even Kershaw this would work with since his slider's so hard. Just kind of a mistake that I see people making that I think is not ideal, and an easy way to correct that. So if you enjoy the video, drop a like and subscribe. And with that, we'll get into some of these clips. So the main reason sinker cutter pitchers are so good this year is because tunneling is really good with those pitches. And if you don't know what tunneling is, it's where you throw a pitch with the same exact release point, but it can break either left or right, or do different things than just one thing coming out of the tunnel, essentially. And so the reason sinker cutter is so good this year is because the best tunnel, in my opinion, is right down the middle of the plate, right? Because if you throw a sinker inside to a righty, that's going to look like it's right down the middle. And if you throw a cutter away to a righty, that also looks right down the middle. And this will make more sense as we get into the clips. But the main tip I wanted to give you guys is to break the tunnel by moving your PCI outside of the middle of the plate. And so if you struggle with sinkers more than cutters, I would suggest starting your PCI arm side of a right-hander, or whoever's throwing the sinker, I would start your PCI arm side. What that's going to allow you to do is, if the pitch is right down the middle, the sinker's going to break into you, so all you really have to do is move the PCI vertically. And if it's a cutter that's starting down the middle, all you have to do is slide your PCI over, which you can do, essentially you move with the pitch with your PCI. I personally struggle with cutters more than sinkers, so I start my PCI glove side. And so what that allows me to do is react to the sinker, and especially with a righty, I can swing the PCI over to a sinker, and it really feels like I'm pulling my hands in and turning on the pitch. And if it's a cutter, then it's going to cut right into my PCI, as you'll see in some of these clips. So that's a lot of talking. Let's just kind of get into some of these examples here. So this is at 24:46. Your boy's prepared. Alright, so this is Robbie Alomar versus Corey Kluber. Let's take a look at this at bat. As I said, the main tunnel that's difficult is one right down the middle. See how that looked like it was coming down the middle, but it was a cutter in? This is why I start my PCI inside, or glove side. That's a pitch I probably should have swung at. But you can see how I'm taking away this tunnel of the middle of the plate, and that cutter cut right into my PCI right there because I had started at glove side. So this is the ideal PCI placement if you struggle with cutters. As I said, if you struggle with sinkers more, I would actually start it arm side over here. But as you can see, what we're doing is we're taking away the most effective tunnel, which is right down the middle. Because now if a pitch comes down the middle, you can sit on a cutter over here, or you can just take the pitch, right? Because if it's a sinker, it's going to go over here somewhere, but you're not sitting on that, and there's not two strikes, so there's not really a reason for you to swing. Let's go to 26. So this is Tony Gwynn, another good example, and I will have some examples with righties because obviously it's harder to hit against these pitchers with right on right. But once again, starting the PCI glove side so that the cutter cuts into me, and if it happens to be a sinker away, then I just take the pitch, or if I have two strikes, I can react and just jam the PCI over. But once again, the whole point is the best tunnel in the game is right down the middle, and we're taking that away. See, because I'm sitting over here, I'm able to take that cutter because the only thing that pitch could be is a cutter that breaks inside or a sinker that breaks down. And then he throws us a four-seamer, we react to it, and we hit a bomb. So another Robbie Alomar one here. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. I don't like doing these live comms like this because I kind of ramble, but the clips are kind of important. So once again, we're starting glove side instead of down the middle. And my timing was off there, but you can see I'm exactly squared up on that sinker. And that's because my PCI placement. And then he throws another cutter that cuts right into my PCI, and we square it up. Once again, we don't get rewarded, but you can see the premise of this moving forward. So one more with a lefty, and then we'll get into some righties. Here's Tony Gwynn again, and like I said, I personally struggle with cutters more, so that's why it's glove side. Once again, the cutter runs into me, and I'm just underneath it, but much better result than if I had been trying to react to the tunnel right down the middle. And then here's a right on right with Frank. He had thrown me 2 cutters in a row, so actually I slid inside or arm side this time, expecting a sinker, and then we just hit an absolute tank. So obviously you can adjust this as the game goes on too. If you find that your opponent is sitting sinker or throwing more sinkers than cutters, then you could sit arm side instead of glove side. The point is to kind of get rid of the guessing game, especially early in the count. You're kind of allowing yourself to only swing at a sinker or only swing at a cutter based on where you're putting the PCI ahead of time. Let's show that Frank bomb one more time. So I had been sitting glove side all game. I was expecting a sinker in the situation, so I moved arm side, and then when that sinker comes inside, all I have to do is drop the PCI down. So if it wasn't a sinker inside, if it was a cutter away, then I can see that because the tunnel down the middle of the plate is not in my vision. I'm not looking to swing at pitches in that area, and so it would have just broken away and I would have taken the pitch, essentially. Here's a single with Rogers Hornsby. That's another good example. So we're back to sitting glove side. He kind of went back to throwing cutters because obviously I've been hitting tanks off sinkers, and that's a pretty good swing there. We were just a little late and the PCI is just off of it. I just realized my webcam is a little too big for this, so my bad. So not the best PCI reaction, but that's okay. It's early in the count, and then now we're expecting cutter. We get it, and once again the cutter just runs right into our PCI because our PCI is not in the middle of the plate. It's where we think we're going to struggle the most with the sinker cutter combo. So that was a just early good single. And then we got 2 more clips for you here. These are both with switch hitters, so it's right on left again. But as I said, these principles apply to either side of the plate, right? You just pick the one. Like I said, this especially helps early in the count. You just pick the one that you struggle with the least. And this isn't even against a sinker cutter combo. This is just even against a cutter this works. So I struggle against cutters, like I said, so I want to keep my PCI glove side so that if they make a mistake over the plate, it'll curl right into me. And just like that, we react to a 4-seamer, which is kind of down the middle. In fact, if we had left our PCI middle there, it's possible we wouldn't have moved it at all, and we would have swung over that pitch. So I think the inside PCI really helped with me there. And then we pinch hit with Jose Reyes. Once again, we're sitting glove side. That allows us to take that pitch, right? Because if the pitch is coming in as a tunnel like this, what are your options? It's going to be a cutter that ends up here, a circle change that's going to end up here, which we don't want to swing at first pitch anyway, or it's going to be a 4-seamer right here, which is not a very likely pitch, or it could be a slider way inside, but those are pretty much your options. So when I see the release point pretty much right at my PCI, I know that it's probably a cutter inside or a circle change up down here, and I don't want to swing at either of those pitches, so that's an easy take. Once again, we're moving the PCI out of the middle because we don't want the cutter to come down the middle and then us swing in, take a bad swing at it. Once again, the cutter comes right into my PCI, and we hit it for a tank with Jose Reyes. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Sorry once again for the rambling. This is kind of just how this kind of video had to go. Let me know what you think of this tip down in the comments section below. Once again, biggest thing is you just want to move the tunnel to either the left or the right so that your opponent isn't able to use both effectively. So with that, we'll end the video. Thanks guys. Peace.